On March 8th, 2021, Burger King UK tweeted, "Women belong in the kitchen." This is the Museum of Twitter, the show where we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. It is International Women's Day, so I had to do the absolute worst International Women's Day tweet of all time. This is, of course, when Burger King's UK account tweeted, "Women belong in the kitchen." Now that is obviously a super provocative statement. It's not a statement you want to hear on International Women's Day. I don't need to tell you that telling a woman that she belongs in the kitchen is one of the most old school, misogynistic takedowns you can have. It's super annoying. People do it online all the time. They tell women to make a sandwich, yada yada yada, retrograde bullshit. But they weren't trying to be retrograde, as their next tweet said, if they want to, of course, yet only 20% of chefs are women. We're on a mission to change the gender ratio in the restaurant industry by empowering female employees with the opportunity to pursue a culinary career. Now, this is actually addressing a really important problem in equity in the workplace. It is bad and weird that only 20% of chefs in the UK at the time that this was tweeted were women. Especially because, and this is not to reinforce old gender roles, but in old gender roles, women traditionally did the cooking. So if women were expected in the old days to do all the cooking at home, but they were not given the opportunity to be chefs in a professional setting, that's messed up. But they could have just tweeted about that. They didn't have to clickbait you with a misogynistic tweet. Because the way that Twitter works, of course, is that if someone retweets the first tweet, that women belong in the kitchen, or quote tweets the first tweet, all anyone sees is women belong in the kitchen. The only people who see the full thought are people who already follow Burger King UK or go onto Burger King UK's page. And that is not most people. And they didn't just do this in a tweet. They actually had a print ad in the US which said in big letters, "Women belong in the kitchen." And then in smaller letters, they explained what they meant, sharing some of the stats about the US, the fact that only 24% of chefs in the US are women. The reason why this frustrates me so much is because I know what they were going for, but it's just being too cute. I think a lot of people who have the correct ideas about gender, race, sexuality, etc. think that because they know that their heart is in the right place, they can play around with saying something that is sexist or racist or whatever as a joke in service of the right idea. And I think that that is dangerous because people don't know your intentions and they'll just read it as something sexist or racist. There's no reason for a random person who just sees Burger King UK tweet "Women belong in the kitchen" to assume that they have a better motive. In fact, if I just saw this randomly on the timeline, I'd think, oh, Burger King got hacked by a misogynistic weirdo. Ironically, adopting hateful speech in service of a positive thing is something that you really should tread carefully about. And I feel like you probably should avoid generally doing it unless you're a part of the group that is being persecuted with the speech. To their small credit, Burger King UK did delete the tweet the same day and said, "We hear you, we got our initial tweet wrong and we're sorry. Our aim was to draw attention to the fact that only 20% of professional chefs in UK kitchens are women, and to help change that by awarding culinary scholarships. We will do better next time." And yeah, that was your aim. I have no doubt that they were sincerely trying to do something decent for their PR for International Women's Day, but man, that backfired. You just never want to put your company in the position where they're getting quote tweeted and being made fun of for something that is in an out of context tweet. It wouldn't have been good by any stretch of the imagination, but if it was all one tweet, if it was "Women belong in the kitchen," same tweet, line break, "if they want to, ... that would have been less bad because people would not be able to quote tweet it out of context. And yes, lots and lots of people referenced this tweet when last year, when Joe Biden was imperiled about whether or not he should drop out of the race, and it turned out he had COVID, he just tweeted, well, his campaign tweeted, "I'm sick." And then in the next tweet said, "Of Elon Musk and his rich buddies trying to buy this election, and if you agree, pitch in here." What are you doing, man? I'll cover this more extensively in another episode when it's a year old, but no. If you are a professional communications person and you're on the internet, don't try to be clever by breaking a thought into two different posts if one of those posts looks bad out of context. Yes, we get it. Social media is oversaturated. It's hard to stand out, but don't be too clever. When in doubt, just tweet something about how good the Whopper is. That's a lot safer than trying to make a clever statement about women in the kitchen. Follow me for a new tweet every day and consider subscribing at patreon.com, where you can vote on what I cover on Subscriber Sundays and you get the weekly Museum of Not Twitter.